time there was truth in journalism, where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources, all we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative hid the truth of mass suffering, injustice, and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo. To expose this shift to oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Out front tonight, chaos at the White House. President Trump's deputy chief of staff, his communications director, is
just because of their connection to President Trump. And I know you've been saying...
We learned recently that Donald Trump threatened to sue his former schools if...
Tired of hearing about Trump 24/7? Become a member at statusquo.com for only $10 a month. Click the notification. With your help, we can start the media revolution.
And before Bernie went on stage, I spoke with his supporters online here, and you really get that feeling from them.
Hey there, Jordan Sheridan live from New York City. It is Thursday, August 15th, 2019, and boy, what a couple days. What a couple days. Is the camera on me or you?
The camera's on you, bro.
Oh, because I see it on you. Interesting.
No, look, the one on your right is you. That's what's loud.
Ah, I see. I see.
Go ahead, say 1, 2.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay,
Sorry about that. We launched and forgot that the batteries were dead. Look at that. Look at that. Other than that, we're fantastic here. We're fantastic here. So, what a couple days. What a couple days. So much to tell you. So much to tell you.
What happened, bro?
So,
what's happening?
I believe in radical transparency here at Status Quo. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. But if you haven't noticed, we just passed 60,000 subscribers here at Status Quo. Thank you, Lawrence Johnson, $5 in the super chat. Thank you, I'm a Communist, who gave $10 in the super chat. So it's always interesting because we are trying to grow. Not only, we got to do the live streams every day. We have so much to do day to day, but there's also business stuff I got to do. So a great viewer a couple weeks ago mentioned to me that there might be some folks interested in Status Quo, in collaborating and funding and all those things. So obviously we came up with a business plan like over a year ago when we didn't even have any numbers. We had no results, we had no numbers, we had no nothing. So these folks were meeting today. I won't go into details. When I say to folks, it's not Democratic Party donors, it's not Republican Party donors, it's not scummy plutocrats. Good.
Jerry's.
Yeah, Ben and Jerry's. Let's put it that way. So, but we needed to get a business proposal to them. Well, if you know anything about business, You got to do financial projections. You have to do just really, really frustrating
Jerry
stuff.
Ross said, "Don't forget to beg for money on Facebook."
Oh, I'm gonna,
Shout
Jerry.
out Facebook.
I'm gonna, Jerry, and peace and love to my Facebook people. So, Periscope, all these people. Jen, don't forget, retweet from my account to our account on Periscope. So basically, long story short, between blowing out my back in Detroit and heating and icing for the last 2 weeks, which it was difficult to even walk, I've been lying in bed working, to myself, Jen, Colin helped us out a great deal. The last 4 or 5 days, all I've been doing is working on this damn business plan. And that is, unfortunately, total mea culpa. Sincere apologies.
Oh, they was upset.
Sincere apologies.
The people were very disappointed in you.
Let me speak. Sincere apologies to my friend Jimmy Dore, who, to keep it real behind the scenes, tell you the truth, I reached out to Jimmy a few weeks ago. I was like, hey, can I get 2 comps to your show for myself and my girlfriend?
Disrespectful.
So then I asked for a 3rd comp for my friend Peter, who wanted to go. And then when Ty moved here, I asked Jimmy yesterday morning for another comp. So that's 4 comps Jimmy got me. And I really, truly thought I would be done, and myself, Jen, we'd all be done finishing the business proposal, which we had to get done to submit today. But by like 6 o'clock, his show is at 8 o'clock Eastern. By 6:30, I mean, it wasn't even close to being done. And Jen yelled at me because I wanted to go. But Jen said, no, you can't go. You got to finish this. She was probably right. So I just feel bad because I said on air that I was going to go. And Ty tells me that a lot of viewers were kind of disappointed that I wasn't there. I don't want you to think I was out doing something more pleasurable. I don't want you to think I was out there doing something more pleasurable. It was not pleasurable.
I'm going to say, I don't know what he was doing. Y'all can take him at his word if you want.
What do you mean you don't know? You saw what I was doing. Don't be an idiot. So anyway, Jen could attest. She's in the super chat. We were working, burning the midnight oil, getting this done. We got it done, and hopefully we'll have good news on that end. Obviously, we're going to be transparent. So if and when we get some funding, you will know from who and all that. So don't worry about that. So I apologize to Jimmy. I heard it was a great show. He had like, what, 200, 300 people?
Yeah, it was large, and it was a lot of people there. We got some video. I don't know if you wanted to
show that video, but
yeah, we'll show it later.
Show it later, yeah. But it was a lot of people there. Jimmy showed you love. He shouted you out on stage.
Oh.
Fuck you, Jordan.
Botany Lane, $20 in the super chat.
Hey.
Thank you for giving the mic back to people. Thank you for accepting the mic, Botany. Thanks for the $20.
I think you missed $5 from Lawrence Johnson.
Thank you, Lawrence, for the $5. Lawrence,
said
sorry, I think I only sent 2, not 5. Here's an additional 5. Well, thank you for the 7 then. And no, sincerely, like I texted Jimmy, he hasn't gotten back to me, so he's either still sleeping or he's pissed. Probably both. But I really didn't mean to ask you for tickets and then not come. I could not leave. I had to finish this, and hopefully, if it comes through, we will have more funding, and then I could fly to LA and go on Jimmy's show, which would be awesome.
Can I say one thing before we start? I know Mama Jen don't want us talking over each other, so I want to raise my hand first.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to point out that on Facebook,
not Mama Jen.
What is it?
President of the company, Jen.
Yeah, both of them. You just want to make sure that you keep your job. We just had 14 people on Facebook, which is more than we've had ever. I just want to point that out. It went down to, it's at 12 now.
Thank you to Facebook. We're on Periscope, Facebook, and obviously YouTube. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. We got 300 people watching. You know the drill. There's a checklist that you need to do. We need every single one of you. Every single one of you. Smash the thumbs up button. It's the thumbs up, the like button right under the video. The more people that press that like button, the more people that will see this live stream. If you've noticed, and Kyle from Secular Talk, Mike from the Humanist Report, a lot of other people have been talking about the demonetization going on at YouTube pretty much for weeks. Every single video we've done has been getting demonetized, and then we have to submit and basically appeal the demonetization and all these things. So the more people that like, the more people that will see it. This is the way we get around the suppression that YouTube is doing. We are now at 688 Status Quo members. That's 688 Status Quo members. That would be 12, if my math is right, away from 700. So you can become a member at Status Quo for as low as $5 to $10 a month. That is how we grow. That's a very important thing. Also, if YouTube keeps throttling this channel and other independent media channels, it's going to be more important than ever that we have a very, very stable and growing membership. So become a member, statusquo.com/join, and you can become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. This is a super chat, so if you're feeling super, let us know, and that's the deal. My lord, so much to get to, but I got to start with the President of the United States basically calling for Israel to ban 2 lawmakers, and Israel been doing so. I mean, sometimes you just got to pinch yourself, and it feels like kind of like you're being punked on a day-to-day basis by Donald Trump, but this is actually what's happening. This is what's happening. Thank you, JVL, $1.99, Malarkey clip. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So, yeah, I saw that Jimmy used the Malarkey clip. I appreciate it. To Jimmy, sorry I couldn't come again. So, let's look at Donald Trump's tweet to start off the day. And I always criticize the media for only responding to Donald Trump's tweets, but I have to in this case. So Donald Trump tweeted, "It would show great weakness if Israel allowed Congresswoman Omar and Congresswoman Tlaib to visit. They hate Israel and all the Jewish people, and there is nothing that could be said or done to change their minds. Minnesota and Michigan will have a hard time putting them back in office. They are a disgrace." And Donald Trump, the context was obviously saying this because Congresswoman Omar and Congresswoman Tlaib were about to travel to Israel. I believe, I think it was Congresswoman Tlaib was going to visit her grandmother, I believe, who was in the Palestinian side. Thank you, Cack Smith, $5 in the super chat. Joe Biden has had plastic surgery. Spotting facelifts is my superpower. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for the $5 and your superpowers. So, want to get to this. Hold on. So then, pretty much like 10, 15 minutes later, you hear news that Israel is banning Congresswoman Omar and Congresswoman Tlaib from traveling there. It is absolutely, I mean, it's literally Trump tweeted this, and 15 minutes later, they are banned. And obviously, we know, some people are rejoicing on Twitter and all over the place saying they should be banned. They're both supporters of the BDS movement, which is boycott, divestment. And then then there was a much louder chorus of voices saying, this is absurd. How can Israel call itself a democracy when you are banning 2 elected leaders in America from coming because they criticize Israel? Because they're not saying wipe Israel off the face of the earth. They're saying we need them as 2 women of color, 2 Muslims, are saying Palestinians are living as second-class citizens. It is an apartheid state, and we need to hit, like in America, there's a lot of times, from Black Lives Matter to the indigenous rights movement to the environmental movement, boycotting and divesting is a strategy to get what you want, just like in America. But when 2 elected lawmakers who are not calling for Israel not to exist, they're calling for boycott and divestment. It is their free speech as Americans, lawmakers and citizens, to say that. And considering Israel says it is a democracy, they should be able to say that and still, as elected lawmakers, come over. Well, Donald Trump, because we know what kind of campaign he is running, he is basically trying to start a race and religious war here in America. He already has started that race and religious war, and this is just a continuation of that. Thank you, the Talshiar, $10 in the super chat. Joe Biden's purpose is to keep the corporate gravy train going. So, here's the bottom line. And my father, I hope he's not watching, because you know my father. He thinks Israel can do no wrong. He's not particularly a fan of Ilhan Omar and Congresswoman Tlaib. I love my father, but He was raised much differently than me, and we feel very differently about this topic. This is insane. I mean, it's so insane that even AIPAC, if we could show that, even AIPAC, who has bought off every politician in America to stand within Israel no matter what, that you cannot say anything in criticism of Israel. Even AIPAC is standing up against this, saying this is not how we should handle, dissenting lawmakers in America. Let me read this quick. The prominent pro-Israel group, AIPAC, suggested Thursday it opposed the move by Israel and supported by President Trump to bar Democrat Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib from entering the country. AIPAC, which advocates for a staunch alliance between the U.S. and Israel, has frequently sided with Trump administration policies that have supported Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, making its opposition especially notable. Quote, "We disagree with Congresswoman Omar and Tlaib's support for the anti-Israel and anti-peace BDS movement, along with Congresswoman Tlaib's calls for a one-state solution. We also believe every member of Congress should be able to visit and experience our democratic ally, Israel, firsthand." So, I never thought I'd say that, but AIPAC is defending these two congresswomen. Nancy Pelosi, who, the Democratic Party does not often say anything negative towards Israel or say Israel is wrong about anything. Nancy Pelosi even came out fiercely attacking this. And why this is happening, let's make no mistake about it, everything is interconnected. Benjamin Netanyahu, he won the Israel presidential election a few months ago, but he was not able to establish a coalition government. That it's a parliament system, so you have to establish a coalition government. He was not able to do that. So there is now a new election, I believe in September. And Netanyahu, for the first time in a long time, is potentially looking like he will lose the presidency in Israel. And he has been president, I believe, for 3 or 4 terms in a row. And remember, we got 420 people watching. That's 420, by the way. So for 420 of you, we only have 240 that have pressed the like button. So I ask every single one of you, press the like button. It's right under the video. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see this. So it wasn't just AIPAC that was speaking out about this. There was literally politicians in Israel. This tweet from Stav Shafir. She is a left-wing member of the Israeli parliament. Israel, with smart foreign policy, would open its doors to congresswomen who have positions we disagree with and make sure their visit shows them the complexity of the conflict. Bibi's Israel slams the door shut and gives the BDS a gift, which in return gives Bibi what he wants, fear and isolation. So, as far as I'm concerned, whether you're for BDS, whether you're...
It all comes down to a single moment.
Whether you're for BDS, whether you're against it, this only emboldens the BDS activists and people around the world to say Israel is not democratic and Israel is turning into what America is under Trump, which is becoming, if you watch Trump, he's going after journalists. He's going after political opponents. He's trying to change libel laws. He's trying to change many laws to basically, suppress dissent. This is what authoritarian leaders do. And make no mistake, that's what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. And Benjamin Netanyahu, by banning these two, he's giving Trump a wink and a nod. I'm with you, Trump. And he's hoping that Trump, in the weeks before the election, will speak on behalf of Netanyahu, because Trump is very, very popular among the religious part of Israel. Not exactly among, young people and things like that. Israel is very much like America. Older people, kind of establishment, younger people, less so. So I think this is beyond the pale. I would tell my father, who I love, who probably disagrees with me, that just because these two people, lawmakers, by the way, both elected, have opinions you find vile, even if you find them anti-Semitic. You know what? There's plenty of people that are, from other countries, brutal dictators, people who kill, political opponents, citizens, that the United States government accepts with wide and open arms. From the Trump administration to the Obama administration to the Bushes to the Clintons. So, 2 elected lawmakers, because you don't like their views, you're saying they can't come. And I agree with that Israeli politician who said, I don't agree with what she's saying about BDS, but what I'm saying is, why not have them come and have a dialogue? It would make them look bad. I'm talking about Congresswoman Tlaib and Congresswoman Omar, if they were invited to have dialogue with members of the parliament and this and that, and they chose not to. I don't think they would reject that opportunity to speak with them. As far as I can tell, granted, I've been busy and I haven't been following it like a hawk, I don't think Congresswoman Tlaib or Omar was going there and say, I'm not going to talk to any Israeli politicians, or I have no interest in speaking about our concerns. Wouldn't that be part of the point to go over there? Instead of just talking about your dissent from America, to go to the country and give your opinions about, what you think is obviously an apartheid state, the inhumane treatment of the people in Gaza and beyond. It's just ridiculous. And honestly, I think it's become so normalized, the crazy things Trump does. I mean, just imagine if any other leader did this. It would be the scandal of all scandals. You have another country 20 minutes after a tweet banning lawmakers in America from entering. I mean, this is not like silly season anymore. This is what fascists do. And you got Trump, who I believe now is a fascist. I stayed away from that for many, many years. But after, telling these women, go back home, and the many other things he's been doing over the last few weeks, I don't think there's anything else to say. So it's a shame. I actually think it's going to hurt Netanyahu. He thinks it's going to help him. I think it's going to hurt him. I'm not an expert on Israeli politics, but I will say I don't know how banning your biggest ally in America, two elected lawmakers. We're not talking about like two celebrities. We're not talking about two, think tank people or intellectuals. You're talking about American congresswomen, particularly women of color. You think Trump would have done that to two men who had the same views? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Maybe men of color, probably.
It's possible. It's possible. So I don't know what else to say about that. You have any thoughts?
Oh, thank you, Doug. I appreciate you, man. I agree, but I'm not surprised at all. Like, I'm not surprised at all by what he's doing and what he's saying. It is who he is, and I'm thankful that AIPAC did that, because I don't like them at all, but I appreciate them, like, because I don't like their influence. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate them being fair and being honest, and everybody at least being honest. Like, I don't agree, but this isn't right. Period. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that. But we're dealing with Trump, man. It's like you say, I'm hella immature. I'm hella petty.
You are, yeah.
I'm not, I'm not arguing with you, but I'm saying that Trump is hella petty.
Absolutely. And Ty's mic is really loud, by the way. A couple of people have said. So.
Hey, Jen just said my mic was low.
No, she said loud.
Did she say loud or low? She texted you loud?
Yeah. So the last thing I'll say about this is, if Trump's, Trump, yes, is playing to his base and all of this, but if he wants to suppress the Democratic vote, I don't know why he thinks targeting, too popular among the progressive base, popular among young people, popular among Muslim Americans, popular among women. I don't know why he thinks continually attacking these two women it might bring every last one of his base out, but it might also bring out a hell of a lot more African Americans, Muslims, and people that might have not been so inspired last time to come out, which is why he's president, because less people came out. I mean, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but I mean across the Electoral College. So if he wants to keep poking the bear of two of the first, I believe they're both the two first female Muslims elected to Congress. Keith Ellison was the first male. Keep doing it. But I think politically it's a loser for you. And more importantly, Bernie Sanders has pointed out, I believe Israel has a right to exist, but I think Benjamin Netanyahu is a racist. This is racist. You cannot, even if Benjamin Netanyahu vehemently disagrees with these two lawmakers, he thinks, they're disgusting, they're vile, they're anti-Semitic, they're anti-this, they're anti-that. You're the president or the prime minister of a supposed democracy. You can't ban people for their views, not just people, but lawmakers. So let's throw out the pretense that Benjamin Netanyahu is a democratic official.
Can I say one thing right quick? I think it's very, how do white people say it, rich that Netanyahu banned them when Obama was like, tell him at one point, don't come. And he came to Congress and talked to Congress anyway. You know what I mean? Just did what he wanted to do, like disregarded anything that Obama said. Obama didn't be like, oh, you got to get out of here because you went behind me and talked to Congress about, I think it was about getting some money or something like that. You know what I mean? That's all.
So,
where are we going?
that's all I got to say about that. We'll see what develops. I mean, I don't think they're going to get unbanned. So, we'll see. For the 456 of you watching, 460, excuse me. We got 328 likes, so keep smashing that bell. As a reminder, I don't know if you guys have been noticing. You probably don't see the back end that much. YouTube and their suppression, if it was at like a 7, it's now at an 11 out of 10. I mean, every single video, I'd say probably for 2-3 months, gets demonetized. It doesn't matter what the topic is. It doesn't matter if we don't curse. It doesn't matter if it's 2 sock pillows, doing kumbaya. Whatever it is, it gets demonetized. YouTube is throttling independent media. It's whether it's progressive or other spectrums. If you're independent, if you're not corporate, they are doing whatever they can to make you so both frustrated and frankly poor that you'll leave the platform. That's basically what they're trying to do. It is obvious if you've seen Kyle Kalinski's tweets from Secular Talk, if you've seen Mike from the Humanist Report, they are going out of their way. Just like you guys need to make a living, we need to make a living, but we also want to grow this, so we got to work around this suppression. So I ask you, we are now just 12 members away from 700 members. You can become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. We're trying to pump out more member content for you, behind the scenes content. We have our monthly members call that we're going to do probably next week just for our members. So sign up if you can. It's as cheap as a cup of coffee, a sandwich, a salad, or whatever. You could also join us at the annual level, $179. This is very important because honestly, based on what YouTube is doing, the only way not just independent media can stay in business, but the only way we can afford to fund in the field reporting is to build this up from the ground up. So keep it coming, statuscoup.com/join. We appreciate it if you can join us as a member. If you can't, obviously share, like, and although it's annoying, let the ad play for a little bit before you skip it. The longer you let the ads play, that's more revenue for us, and we gotta keep the lights on. So, Joe Biden. Oh boy, Joe Biden. Yesterday, a poll came out, and thank you, Aloha Distributors. We got you, brah, $20 in the super chat. So if you don't want to become a member, you could do super chat. Of course, you could do both. All is welcome. So, the polls have been all over the place. You have some polls that show Warren in second place. You have a lot of polls showing Bernie in second place. You have a poll that came out yesterday that shows Bernie has taken the lead in New Hampshire over Biden and Warren. So I'm not putting like a crazy amount of stock in the polls just yet because, frankly, I think when you've seen enough polls and you read their methodology, you know which polling companies are going to be better for Warren. You know which polls are going to be better for Bernie. You know which polls are going to be really, really bad for Bernie, because the more you look into who they're polling, you see, oh, this one's polling a lot of people over the age of 50. Oh, this one's polling a more even distribution. Oh, this one's polling way more people that make over $50,000 a year. Of course, the corporate media never reports that context. They just make it seem like, oh, it's all fair and Bernie's getting creamed. But I'm looking less at the polls, and I'm looking more at the crowds. I saw a piece today that said, take it from Hillary Clinton, who told you all her defenders said crowd size doesn't matter. Well, is she president? Because I actually think crowd size does matter. Donald Trump had huge crowds, and he's now president. Hillary Clinton didn't, and she had way less people come out in terms of African Americans, Latinos, and young people, and that's why she's not president. So, thank you, Edgar Kansa, $4.99 in the super chat. Epstein got snuffed. So, Joe Biden has been stumbling all over the place. Do we have the video? So let's remind you, this is what the media calls a gaffe. After we play this, I'm going to remind you why these are not actually gaffes. Here we go.
We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts.
And the other thing we should do is we should challenge these students. We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids.
If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330. You should be able to, if you cross the border, that they have to wait in line. And it's not one that, in fact.
Thank you, Mr. Butler.
So Joe Biden is not having gaffes. Gaffes are what, people foot in their mouth disease, right? You say things that you should say in private, but you say it in public, right? Joe Biden is clearly having issues processing thoughts. He's having issues, completing sentences. He's having issues remembering things. It is clearly, and reporters who pretend otherwise are frankly irresponsible, it is clearly some form of cognitive decline. I also think it's irresponsible to play internet doctor, so that's why we are not diagnosing Joe Biden. I'm not a doctor, and I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like his policies. I think he'd be a bad president, but I don't wish him poor health, and I don't think you guys should either. Let's not be crazy. However, it's very evident if you watch with 2 eyes and common sense, he's struggling. He's not as sharp as he used to be, which happens. It happens when you get older. If you look at Bernie Sanders, for example, it hasn't quite happened to him yet. I'm not saying that as a Bernie supporter. I'm just saying he's frankly more lucid if you watch him. But the reason that the corporate media keeps pretending that these are gaffes, the reason that the corporate media keeps pretending these are gaffes is because they don't want to lose access. Because how presidential campaigns is the more gaffe, the more you actually challenge the candidates, especially the top candidates, it's like carrot and a stick. That campaign will start blocking you from interviews. They'll stop talking to you. They'll make it harder for you to get into rallies and things like that. And, access is, most of these corporate journalists, oxygen. So, now we've seen all these stumbles. We've seen all of these stumbles from after 2 mass shootings, saying the wrong cities. He said Houston and Detroit were where these, Houston and Michigan were where these mass shootings were. You see him forgetting that he said, I remember talking to those Parkland students when I was vice president. Parkland happened 2 years later. Parkland students did not go to the White House when Joe Biden was president. He obviously made that comment about, poor kids, equating poor kids and white kids, equating poor kids with black kids, saying all poor kids are black. Bottom line, I think his campaign knows, and that's why you've seen him off the campaign trail so much. If they put Joe Biden in a grueling, in the normal, rigid schedule that Bernie Sanders has been on for months, that Elizabeth Warren has been on for months, that Kamala Harris has been on for months, that, Mayor Pete has been on for months. If you put him from city to city, 6-7 days a week, nonstop, it's a time bomb waiting to explode, because he's either too old and can't go at that pace, which is fine. We're not mocking being older. When you're older, you get tired. I mean, that's just a part of life. Or there is something cognitively going on where he's declining, and they know the more they put him on stage, the more they put him in front of people, the more problems there's going to be. So let's read this article, because apparently now the idea oh my God, this is like Hillary Clinton deja vu. Now the idea is basically to hide Joe Biden as much as humanly possible from the voters. This is from The Hill. Biden allies, meaning the Democratic Party establishment, float scaling back events to limit, quote, gaffes. We've already established these are not gaffes. These are the makings of somebody who's in cognitive decline. Botany Lane Pottery, $10 in the super chat. If you love the crime bill, go to Joe 30330. Thank you, Botany Lane Pottery, for that fantastic. You should have been on stage with Jimmy. You're a comedian. So, The Hill is reporting, and by the way, how this works, so you know the behind the scenes. Basically, when Democratic Party insiders, when corporate Democratic Party people, when consultants, when donors want to get a message to the candidate, they do it through The Hill, they do it through Politico, they do it through CNN. This is called floating a trial balloon. They don't want to say it directly to his face. They don't want to say it directly to his campaign advisors. So they're doing it through the media. Allies to Joe Biden have been floating the idea of altering the former vice president's schedule in an effort to reduce the gaffes he has made in recent days. So you keep hearing gaffes when it's so clear these are not gaffes. These are somebody who's struggling to remember things. It's somebody who's struggling just to finish sentences. He's cutting himself off during debates when no one is telling him your time is up. He did it in the first debate and he did it in the second debate. This would be like me right now being like, thanks for watching. You know, well, I've been going for an hour, but like, thanks for watching, bye. Like, you do a little bit of a farewell tour, you know? So,
you have to go up for an hour. I don't even see that.
Yeah, the allies growing increasingly nervous about Biden's verbal flubs have said it's an approach that's been suggested to campaign officials on the heels of the former vice president's stumbles. Biden has a tendency to make the blunders late in the day. Oh my God. Late in the day, his allies say, particularly after a long swing on the road, like he had last week in Iowa. Hold up, I can't read anymore. So, Biden's allies, and I want to make something clear to the 500 people watching, and there's only 400 of you who have pressed the like button. There's 100 people watching. We need you to press that like button. The more likes, the more people will see this live stream. And M Burger 33 $4.99 in the super chat. Mike Gravel's older than Biden and isn't in cognitive decline. He's had a couple senior moments when I've interviewed him, but they're not as, I agree. But in fairness, I mean, if Mike Gravel went on the campaign trail, he's 89. We don't know how Mike Gravel would sign. And that's not a bad thing. When you get older, you I don't want to say you lose your mind, but you're not as sharp as you were 20, 30 years ago. This is how life works. For some of us, it happens earlier. So I'm not trying to mock Joe Biden. But when they're saying, oh, he should, come off the campaign trail, and, oh, we noticed that this happens later in the day. Yeah. Gaffes happen later in the day? No. What happens later in the day when you're older and are cognitively not as sharp is you stutter your words. You lose your train of thought. You're ready to go to bed. I'm not mocking him. This is reality. This is what happens when you get older. This is why, and in fairness, put aside the fact that it's Joe Biden and I don't like him, I kind of feel for the guy. He's older. He's 76. It's a grueling thing to crisscross the country. I mean, most of the time when he's crisscrossing the country, it's not for rallies. It's to go kiss the ring of Wall Street bankers and oil executives and pharmaceutical executives and Comcast lobbyists to get $2,800 checks. But that's still, crisscross flights. So,
I was going to say, just to kind of staple that, you even got mad at me for making mocking him a little bit. He was like, no, we're not trying to do that. We're trying to show this is a serious decline and it's irresponsible. He got even a little mad at me that how I did the edit was almost kind of seemed like it was mocking. So I just wanted to say that to let them know that you really aren't, you're really being sincere when you say that.
I'm saying this for two reasons. Number one, because genuinely speaking, why would you put this guy, why is he putting himself through this? But number two, because I know what's going to happen. I remember November 6th, or 8th, 2016.
November 8th.
Yeah, the presidential election. I remember seeing all these cosmopolitan, cocktail crowd, arrogant, out of touch, elitist journalists sitting on the set of CNN, and frankly, the Young Turks, if we're keeping it real, being like,
Didn't Jake did say
being like, how did this happen? How did this happen? And just
Jake predicted it though.
No, he didn't.
He did on MSNBC. He said that Trump will win by the amount he won. I swear to God, I watched it like 6 times. He did on MSN. He was tripping the night that it happened, but he said, I predict Trump win by this amount. And I remember the amount he said was the exact electoral votes that Trump won by.
But the point is, why we're saying this is, if the Democratic Party is sincere, and I don't think they are, I do not think they are, about getting rid of Donald Trump, you're literally talking about dragging this man, not to the finish line, just to the general election. They are talking about dragging, frankly, an older politician who is not cognitively sharp. And that's being kind. I'm just saying not cognitively sharp. If you look at it, it looks worse than that. You're talking about taking him off the campaign trail. If you notice, and I said this to Jen the other day, I have never seen a candidate's wife this early travel as much as Jill Biden is for Joe Biden. Jill Biden is traveling all to city after city after city, and a lot of the time she's doing it are on days that Joe Biden is not. To me, this comes off like they are papering over Joe Biden and basically trying for dear life to stretch this thing out for as long as possible until it's really noticeable that something is wrong. And why that is so dangerous? Remember how Donald Trump first took off in the Republican primary when no one said he had a chance, by ravaging and beating to death low energy Jeb Bush. Remember that? Jeb Bush is a tool and a warmonger and all that, but he embarrassed and shamed and defamed Jeb Bush, low energy Bush. I mean, my God, Donald Trump, I could see on the debate stage saying, senile Joe, 6 feet under Joe. I could see all these things.
Just something hella disrespectful.
Right.
Something hella disrespectful.
Thank you, Fred Ariel Hernandez, $5 in the super chat. Keep the super chats coming, even though YouTube takes 30% of those super chats until we figure out a better way. That's how you do it. But why this is so dangerous? When you have the Democratic Party establishment, and let's go back to the article. Biden has a tendency to make blunders late in the day, his allies say. When older people need to go to sleep, particularly after a long swing on the road, like he had last week in Iowa. They say something needs to be done to give the candidate more downtime as the campaign intensifies in the fall. Quote, he needs to be a strong force on the campaign trail, but he also has to pace himself, said one ally who has talked to members of the campaign team and had others in the broader Biden world about how to move forward. The ally said it was unclear whether the campaign would make any changes to Biden's schedule, particularly because Biden was criticized recently for not doing as many events as his Democratic rivals. Quote, I think you'll see the same schedule and maybe even more Joe Biden. Oh boy. Everyone wants to see Joe Biden be Joe Biden. If he's held back in any way, that's almost the antithesis of who he is. I think it's the wrong approach. You got more quotes. A lot of people are nervous that he's lost some of his mojo. They're getting nervous about him going toe-to-toe with Trump. Basically, this is all very PG-rated versions of saying this guy is not well. That's what this all is. And when I say not well, I'm not saying there's anything severe. I'm not saying there's anything life or, a death sentence. But frankly, and I'm only saying Bernie Sanders because he's the only one to compare Biden to. He's 77 and Biden's 76. I mean, Mother Nature catches up for everyone differently. Bernie Sanders is all over the frickin' country. Bernie Sanders, his campaign is tweeting him out shooting hoops at arcades. throwing baseballs with his campaign manager. He's going. I mean, he's been to. I know he's crisscrossed to California several times. He's been to Iowa many times, New Hampshire, South Carolina. He's also gone to states like. And by the way, this isn't only during the campaign. If you've been following, since he lost in 2016, he's been traveling. So obviously, putting aside like whether you like Bernie, whether you like Biden, whatever, obviously in terms of stamina, I mean, Bernie Sanders has it at the moment. Biden does not. And the thing that troubles me, forget Trump for a second. I agree, it's very important to take out Trump. If he's this tired, if he's this like losing the mojo at 76, what are we in August? So 15 months before the general election? How's he going to be in 18 months on Inauguration Day? How's he going to be as president of the United States? We know that Ronald Reagan became president, and other than destroying the unions, offshoring the jobs, the welfare queens, the deregulation, the tax cuts for the wealthy, I mean, he was pretty much sleeping the last 4 or 5 years. He had early onset dementia. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that I think Doug...
And Shay, put Biden on Rogan.
He wouldn't last if we put him on Rogan. I was going to say, if this was Bernie, MSNBC, everybody would be on him. He looks frail. He looks like he's not there. He looks like he's 2 steps behind. He looks like he's drained. That would like occupy every news like segment, period. But for some reason, no one talks about it. He had somebody on CNN the other day saying, oh, they're saying like it's not bothering him. Joe Biden is doing what? What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? But it's just crazy. I think it's so weird that people are allowing this to go on. That's how selfish they are. The Democratic Party will always be that way because it's never been about the people. It's only about what they can get out of their time in office.
So here's the... I don't know what to say other than, like, I don't think we have the graphic. Iceberg right ahead. Because, CNN, don't think that there's not... Corporate media they're very frustrating, but they're not stupid. They're not stupid. So if you haven't noticed, CNN and MSNBC have been propping up Elizabeth Warren. Hell, she's as high as the 2 figures on top of a wedding cake. The way they're going with Elizabeth Warren. From CNN, like blocking Bernie Sanders supporters from even entering the cheering area at the Detroit debate. Their cameras were showing all these nice Warren signs, and then they parked Bernie Sanders supporters literally behind a mega logo so you couldn't see them. You have MSNBC has literally shown polls saying Elizabeth Warren has taken the lead over Bernie Sanders, when the poll on screen, when they say that, has them tied. I mean, it's example after example, because it's all about a narrative. And at my heart, I do think what they're trying to do is to, as quickly as they can, make Bernie Sanders, knock him down in the polls, make it seem like he has no shot, just like they did in 2016, combining super delegates with pledge delegates and all these things. But at the end of the day, they are trying to prop up other candidates because they think it's not clear if Biden's going to make it to the finish line. And to tell you the truth, as somebody, again, I'm not diagnosing anyone, but I do know people with cognitive issues. Joe Biden, when you see him get frustrated, when you see him say, "Oh, my time is up," on the debate stage, when you see these things, and there's the Titanic that Colin made for us, that is a sign of somebody frustrated. Because when people who used to be very sharp, when people have, used to have great zingers, when people used to be able to, have some real zest, pep in their step, when they're just not capable anymore, they forget things, they lose their train of thought, it's frustrating. This is a sign of aging. And to me, I think this is really, really dangerous because at the same time as Trump is becoming more and more dangerous every day, the quote-unquote front runner for the Democratic Party is literally now, it's being signaled that we need to drag him for dear life just to get him to the finish line. Not only would that re-elect Donald Trump, it would be probably, not that I care about the strength of the Democratic Party, but it might cripple the Democratic Party. If you nominate this guy who They are now saying, oh, we notice he gets a little more tired during night events. What are you supposed to have events at 9 in the morning and bring all the Starbucks espresso shots you can for this guy? It's crazy. Aloha Distributors, $10. Don't forget Emma and Anna from TYT. I don't get the context.
I think he probably talking about them saying that Hillary was going to win, probably. Maybe he's talking about that.
I'm not going to waste our valued time on my former colleagues
Can I,
at TYT. Go ahead.
What did you just say?
But
Shoot.
I see TYT's been on a real political jihad against Tulsi Gabbard, and I don't know why. I really don't get it. There's some things that are a little concerning. Modi, if I would have had more time with Tulsi Gabbard when I interviewed her, I thought I was going to have 45 minutes. She was a little bit late, which happens with campaigns, so I only had 20 minutes, and I couldn't ask her about the Prime Minister of India. But they're like going on this political jihad against Tulsi Gabbard. And frankly, I saw Anna did a report several months ago, and there were several things she said that were just factually not right. So if you're gonna, be fact-checking candidates at TYT or anywhere else, make sure your facts are right. But I digress. Go ahead.
Oh, what I was gonna say is, I think one of the main reasons also why Trump won is that he campaigned like a mother. Like he was going everywhere. Even if people had to wait 4 or 5 hours, they were waiting. And I think his last campaign, he went to like 5 states in a day, or like 10. It was something crazy the last day before election. So if Biden needs to take a rest, or if it's too late, come on, man. Like, you got to understand what you're up against. Trump don't look like he's lost the step as far as just his energy. You know what I mean?
And by the way, if Biden isn't up to snuff and he really cares about, the future of the party and the soul of America, he keeps talking about the soul of America. We need to recapture the soul of America, which, by the way, is just like, let's keep the corruption behind the scenes and not tweet about it. That's what that means. Just keep corruption behind the scenes, because the DNC, during that DNC fraud election, the DNC fraud lawsuit, the lawyer for the DNC said, well, if we want to, we could just go in the back with cigars and decide the nominee. That's what they said. So they openly said it.
And that's exactly what they do. I don't know if you ever watched The Circus. They even had a group.
Because I'm not establishment like you, so I don't watch The Circus.
Okay, whatever. But they actually, one of the segments, they had all these people that gave money, and one of the guys was like, yeah, one of the top guys that give money is like, yeah, just talk to Biden. This is right before Biden said, I'm running. He said, yeah, just talk to Biden, and I think he's going to run. Like, there is a group of people that push people forward and give money. This is who we want in office, and give money. And they didn't say anything about Bernie in that section. I remember that entire section.
So, here's the bottom line.
Bottom line.
I want everybody, this is on the internet, so hopefully it saves. Remember, on November, whatever it is, 2020, if Biden is the nominee and it's Trump 320, Biden 240, I don't know what the math is, but when Trump wins by a landslide, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from Nate Silver. I do not want to hear it from Chris Cuomo. I'm not going to say it.
Don't do that. Don't do it.
I'm not going to say it.
Do not do it.
I'm not going to say it.
What's his name went on?
Chris Goomba Johnny Cuomo.
You just got
No, I said Goomba Johnny. That's not bad. You never heard Goomba Johnny?
No.
Yeah, Goomba Johnny.
What is that?
It's like a Goomba.
What
An
is
Italian tough
what
guy.
is a Goomba?
Italian tough guy.
Okay.
Ty's going to tell me that's racist.
I just don't understand why I even say it.
Anyway, so I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from Donna Brazil. Donna, I know you're mad at me, but I'm telling you right now, this is what's going to happen. I certainly don't want to hear it from Tom Know Your Values Perez.
Please.
Okay?
Tom Perez ran away from us.
Yeah, he ran away when we saw him in Detroit. So, we're telling you right now, iceberg right ahead. And if Joe Biden cares about the soul of the nation, drop out. You could endorse Kamala, you could endorse Pete, whoever, whatever moderate Republican spawn you want. But geez, for the love of God, these people care more about keeping the consultants, the Wall Street money coming than defeating Donald Trump, and it's very sad. Let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Sined, $2. Did Ty find a place and he thought LA was bad. No, he has not found a place, but he's going to be finding a place very soon.
That's cold-blooded.
And Aloha Distributors, $5. TYT loves Warren and dissing Tulsi on Twitter. You know what, Aloha? To be completely honest with you, I'm not throwing shade. I haven't watched the TYT clip in a very long time. It doesn't surprise me that they love Warren. When I was there, definitely Emma was a big fan of Warren. We had a debate when I was there about Warren, and she's always been Team Warren, so that does not shock me. Doesn't shock me. And I remember when Cenk interviewed Warren and asked her, do you have something to say about why you didn't endorse Bernie? And she dodged all over the place. I thought it was a bit of a weak sauce, her dodge, and I don't really think he challenged him. So I can't comment whether they're shilling for Warren now because I don't watch them anymore. But it wouldn't surprise me. So let's move on. Next topic, and we got 500 going strong. Ty did a little bit about this yesterday. But I wanted to chime in. So obviously we cover Flint a lot. Just because, I'm coming to you from our studio here. We're still working on some Flint stories, so don't you worry. And we haven't forgotten about Flint. But a lot of you have said, what about Newark? And I've been getting that for months because I've known there's a problem in Newark. Newark is probably, hour and a half drive from here, maybe less. So I was waiting for Ty to get here so we could go to Newark because it's something that we, unlike Flint where we go, back and forth, Newark is somewhere we could cover more regularly because it's close enough. So Newark has had a lead problem for years. And it's not like Flint where, they switched to the river and they forgot to put, the proper chemicals in and all this. This is like in many cities across America. Minority community. It's very, very poor. There's frankly been crime problems in Newark over the years, but it is a minority, very poor community with very, very old infrastructure and very, very little investment from the city, from the state, from the feds. So now, all of a sudden, the people of Newark have been screaming about this for years. Now, finally, they are starting to get some attention. So let me read this from you. A growing crisis over lead contamination in drinking water gripped Newark on Wednesday as tens of thousands of residents were told to drink only bottled water, the culmination of years of neglect that has pushed New Jersey's largest city to the forefront of an environmental problem afflicting urban areas across the nation. Urgent new warnings from federal environmental officials about contamination in drinking water from aging lead pipes spread anxiety and fear across much of Newark. But the municipal government's makeshift efforts to set up distribution centers to hand out bottled water were hampered by confusion and frustration. State and local officials said they were making free water available to 15,000 of the city's 95,000 households, and hundreds of people waited in long lines in the summer heat to pick up cases of water. But officials had to halt the distribution temporarily after discovering that some of the water exceeded its best by date, because obviously water can go bad quickly, particularly in the hot. The intensifying worry about the safety of Newark's drinking water has raised comparisons to Flint, where dangerous levels of lead led to criminal indictments, blah, 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 blah. Lead crisis in Newark, a city of 285,000 people, has been brewing for years, but escalated sharply over the weekend after federal officials issued a scathing letter warning about the safety of the drinking water and urging city officials to make more aggressive steps. Elevated lead levels have been recorded in an expanding zone of the city and now includes all of the west and south wards and parts of the central and the north wards. I don't really need to read the rest because honestly, it's whether it be different cities, it's usually the same exact story. This country, particularly in poor, black, indigenous, brown communities, is basically playing Russian roulette with those citizens. Basically, underneath some of the blocks in these areas have homes built in the early 20th century. Most of these areas have very, very old, outdated community centers. If they still have the community centers, a lot of them have been bulldozed. If you're in Detroit, in Flint, and other areas, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The infrastructure is very, very, very old. Occasionally there's grants for certain, nice parts nice new buildings or nice new programs, and then they say, oh, Newark's coming back. It's the same thing they do in Detroit, where they've beautified like a 10 to 15 block radius, and they're leaving the rest of the city to rot. So this has been a problem in Newark for years. And by the way, in New Jersey, if you know anything about New Jersey's overall, New Jersey outsourced their water system to a privatized water company many years ago. And the New York Times actually wrote it. I think it was Bayonne, New Jersey. The city basically outsourced it to a private water company. And guess what? The water rates went through the roof, but not the water quality, because that's what happens when you privatize things like the water supply. So why?
We're in the black with likes, by the way. We got more likes than we have people watching right now.
Yeah, that's part of YouTube's fuckery, but nothing you could do. Keep liking, even if, well, I guess if you already have, don't. So, why this is super important? This literally is happening all over the country. Yes, it's definitely disproportionately happening in poor black communities, but the white folks are starting to experience it too. There's a lot of poor people in Flint. We've met a lot of them. From North Carolina that had water contamination. We've been to, East Chicago is more black and brown, but indigenous communities, when you have governments, Democrat and Republican, that basically go back and forth, letting Wall Street write trade deals, bashing union protections, really destroying environmental protections. Yes, the focus should be on climate change. That's very important, but shouldn't we, across the lines, whether you're Democrat, shouldn't some things be bipartisan, like water? I believe Steve King and his racist self needs clean water just the same as Mother Teresa. Whether you're vile or whether you're on the good side, everybody needs clean water. But why this is so apocalyptic is it goes hand in hand with gentrification. They're gentrifying certain parts. In Flint, the downtown region, where they've gentrified, they've put in custom filters, full filtration systems in a lot of these restaurants, bars. The nice block down Saginaw Street, you could go to a restaurant or bar there. It's not totally foolproof, but you should be good. The rest of Flint, you're out of luck.
Not the white horse.
Yeah, totally. Same goes for Detroit. Some areas that have been beautified by Dan Gilbert, the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who bought up 10 to 15 blocks and built high-rise apartments, and Whole Foods went in and all those things. The rest of Detroit has been left to rot. And Newark, by the way, you're starting to see the same things in Newark that you saw in Flint and East Chicago. They're throwing filters at the problem. We're giving you bottled water, and now we're going to give you filters for the next 10 to 20 years while we slow walk to fix the issue. Filters are not clean water. Filters go bad. If you use hot water in filters, they're done. You can't use filters with hot water. Filters breed bacteria. So although filters might stop lead, it also breeds bacteria. A lot of people don't know how to apply the filters correctly. And more importantly, Michael Moore said this when the Flint water crisis broke. You shouldn't have to use filters in America. You're paying enough for your water bill. You should know that you're getting clean water. And ironically, not coincidentally, a lot of these areas like Flint, Detroit, Newark have some of the highest water bills in America. Go figure. Poor black people being poisoned and having to pay for it at crazy rates. So it's Jen, tell Jordan to read my comment. I don't know your comment.
What was that?
If you super chat it, I'll be able to see it. I can't find your comment, Matthew. So Ty and I are going to go to Newark for sure. If my back is back next week, we'll probably start lining up some interviews. This is something we need to get on and stay on because chickens are coming home to roost. As I always tell you, there is a reason that all these hedge fund people, my brother is a hedge fund guy. I love him, but he is a hedge fund guy. There's a reason these hedge fund people have been investing in water heavily for the last 5 years, because there is going to be a time when there's a shortage. And then you're going to see Nestle, Dasani, Aquafina, and all these companies. We're not even getting into plastic water bottles and microplastics, because that's a whole different topic. They are going to be price gouging like you could not believe. And America could look like a third world country the price gouging that goes on some islands that you might know if you've been. So this is very important. As I said in the case of Flint, it really doesn't matter if it's Newark, Flint. You might say, oh, it's not happening near me. Well, how do you know what you're drinking is clean? Have you tested it? You might have tested it with something you get at like CVS or something, but that's not a custom water test. It doesn't go to a lab. You have no idea what's in. I'm not trying to scare you, but that's the truth. You have no idea what's in your water. Also, do you know if your home or apartment complex or where you live is near any industrial sites? Do you know if your home or apartment complex is near old factories that were bulldozed? Do you know what how old the pipes are under the ground? Do you know what the sewage system is like? These are all questions that affect your water source. Might sound boring, but it's important. So now that I'm a little freed up after getting this business plan done, going to start lining up some interviews, get on the ground there, talk to people. Obviously, I know what the government's going to say. They're going to pretend that, oh, it's not as bad, and this is what the government does. Because the city of Newark certainly doesn't want to acknowledge how bad the problem is. It's going to cost a lot of money to fix it. But I guarantee you, when the farmers were affected, by Trump's stupid trade war, he was throwing bailout money at the farmers and this and that. But for Newark and Flint and Detroit, they're going to have to beg for money to redo these pipes. And by the way, these are the pipes, and this is the drinking water in your children's schools, in those classrooms. So it's not just a community problem, it's a generational problem, because you have kids, black kids, who are drinking lead. And God knows what else is in that water, because it's usually not just a lead problem. There's usually bacteria, sometimes there's arsenic, sometimes there's PFAS, sometimes there's TTHMs. Ugh, it's a mess. It's a mess. All right, so I want to see Jordan drag Delaney, says John Delaney. Oh my God, who's paying for John Delaney to stay in the? Oh right, he's another millionaire. And now Tom Steyer has bought. He's basically buying a spot. I love how Tom Steyer is literally, his campaign is about millionaires and billionaires have bought the government, while he's literally buying a spot on the debate stage. No irony at all. And apparently that impeachment thing he did for weeks, those for months. Those impeachment was just a clever way for him to get a bunch of emails. He did it so he could build up his email list to then run for president.
I didn't think about that.
Yep. Wesley Weil, status quo, be on the lookout for emails from Steve Grumbine. I don't need emails from Steve Grumbine, Wesley, because we texted yesterday.
Who's Steve?
Steve does modern monetary theory. Steve and I talked yesterday. I've been very busy, but we're going to have him back on because I got to tell you, for you Yang Gang people, you're getting sold a bill of goods, folks.
Why you say that?
Steve Grumbine's going to tell you. But Yang's universal basic income, he's not telling the complete truth about it. Who's going to pay for it?
I thought he said who's going to pay for it.
No. So we're going to have Steve on to, keep it real. Keep it real.
Keep it all the way real?
About UBI. And I like Steve too, so we'll have him on as soon as we can. And I did get some other emails from other viewers, but I've just been busy finishing this business plan, so my apologies if we didn't get back.
Some people said that they sent you some artwork and they was wondering if you got it. I don't know.
I did. Somebody sent me artwork that we should show. I can send it to you now.
Yeah, send it to me now.
I think this is the artwork. I think. All right.
Somebody just gave $20.
Who was it?
Matthew Jones.
Thank you, Matthew, for the $20. Keep it coming. All right, I'm sending you this now. If this is the person, this is one of my favorite pieces of art, which Ty is going to call me a narcissist.
Did you email it to me?
Just now. Matthew, $20. You need bromelain from now. Google it. It is an enzyme that eats scar tissue and rehydrates soft tissue. No more back problems, promise. Bromelain.
Oh, I would want to try that.
Bromelain.
People be in so much pain, you willing to try anything. I know I'd be sometimes.
I'm not in pain right now. The doctor gave me steroids because I had such bad inflammation. But the problem is I had surgery in May, and the truth is after you have surgery on your back, I mean, for 2-3 months, you're still healing. I mean, you have scar tissue, and you could easily re-injure yourself if you're not careful. And because I'm kind of an idiot, I'm not the most careful, because when my back is feeling good, I forget that I just had back surgery.
Today?
Well, I tripped over a cord and it kind of pulled my back again. Luckily, I had physical therapy in the afternoon, so I'm feeling better now. I actually have an ice pack on while I'm doing this. But
This is nice.
so I think this is the fan art somebody made for me. I'm trying to remember who it was that made it, because I feel terrible.
You got the email?
I'll have to go back and shout this person out tomorrow or Monday. But this was, I believe, for the Miami debate. This was for the Miami debate because they wouldn't let us in, and somebody made this. So thank you. Man, I love that picture. That is unbelievable. Thank you. And
it's hard. We should make T-shirts out of that.
And apologies that I forgot who it was, but I will go back in my email and find it. And I'm Googling bromelain. Thank you, Matthew. Kashrinada, $5. Be more gentrified by letting communities rot. You either move, die by gangs, or by cops. Then the rich come in and make bank. Seen it with my own eyes. Hey, that's true. You're right. Basically, it's called, you know how Naomi Klein wrote about capitalism? What does she call it? When there's a natural disaster and the capitalists come in, shock doctrine, but there's a type of capitalism. Anyway, that's basically what you're talking about too, just in a different form. All right. Independent.
Vulture?
Yeah, vulture capitalism. So, one more public service announcement before we go.
No, before we go, we got to show those videos.
I know. So, we got 500 people watching. Status Quo is currently at 688 members. So that will be 12 away from 700. As I told you at the beginning of this, and again, Jerry Ross, my troll.
He's on Facebook. For some reason, he don't want to come on. I think he don't want to come on YouTube to see how many people really watching.
That's okay. YouTube. I mean, literally, I've been doing YouTube between TYT and Status Quo for 4 years. It's now a new level. It's to the point where
I think he loves us. Really,
probably
I think he loves you.
But no, I'm saying YouTube. It's at the point now where if they keep doing what they're doing, I mean, there's going to be people that can't afford to do this, because being a YouTube host, it's a full-time job times 2. Like making videos every day and live streaming and all this, it's a lot of work. And if they're demonetizing every video, like, your revenue goes down so significantly. That is why Status Quo, from the beginning, from the jump, our goal was we were not going to rely on YouTube. That's why we've been building up our paid membership program. So that's why, even though some of you say, Jordan, stop asking for money. We're not asking for money.
It's only Jerry Ross saying that.
We're not asking for money to go to the casino, Jerry. We're asking for money to build a media revolution. So, statusquo.com/join. Now that I'm done with the business plan, I'm going to be doing some more content just for members. Ty will as well. And go on Twitch. We're thinking about doing some things, including Twitch. So
I think that we may be able to actually go live on Instagram as well. I know they got Instagram TV now, so we'll probably be able to do that. But someone said yesterday that they really love us together. I think I probably should be like right with you instead of in the colored section.
The colored section?
Yeah.
Okay. He said that. I didn't say that. So
I'm just kidding. He gonna cuss me out.
John Delaney, relying on YouTube monetization is a bad business model. That's why that's not our business model. And eventually, John Delaney, drop out. Eventually, I'm keeping it real. If this keeps going on, as Status Quo grows, if YouTube keeps giving us the middle finger, we're going to say goodbye. I mean, that's eventually what we're looking at, because the people need this kind of journalism. It's not me. It's covering these important stories. So keep it coming. Statusquo.com/join. Again, for only $5 a month. We have other plans that you get a little bit more behind the scenes stuff. It makes a huge difference. It's how we grow. It's how we fund our reporting in the field. It's how we're eventually going to be able to bring on new reporters, new producers, new research, new everything. And lastly, because I've gotten 2 emails in 2 days, I just want to give a PSA. If you are a candidate, preferably a progressive candidate, because I don't really want to give conservatives the time of day, hit me. Info@statusquo.com. Let me know where you're running, what you're running on. And I can't promise that I'm going to interview all of you, but we'll definitely try to interview as many of you as possible. We want to give progressives a voice, particularly ones running in local elections, Congress, Senate, whatever you're running for. We'd love to speak with you. So info@statusquo.com. And lastly, again, apologize to the status quoers who thought I was coming last night. There was a very good reason that I didn't come, but I saw some of you sent nice videos and all that. So we're going to play one of them on our way out. Two of them on our way out. I will not be live tomorrow because I have a doctor's appointment, but I will be back. I should be back Sunday.
I'll probably go live. If I may have something to do, but I'll probably be able to fill in. People have been filling me. And
next week, I'll be back to my normal schedule. So, John Delaney, we got to get Delaney an interview on Status Quo. If John Delaney came on Status Quo, oh my God, that would be gold. All right, thank you for watching. I'll see you probably Sunday.
Look at him representing out here, boy. What's your name?
My name's Matt.
Matt out here representing. Say something to him. What's in this video?
Man. Listen, man, there's a lot of people from Brooklyn. We love what you're doing, man. You're gonna skyrocket, I promise. You keep doing what you're doing, you're gonna skyrocket. Trust me.
That is cool. Look at it.
We love the work that you do. Keep doing it.
I also want to say this is one of the smoothest jokes I've heard in a few years, man.
I love Status Quo. Keep up the good work. Flint, Michigan. How is that not resolved yet? You guys challenge the status. I love it. Yes. Keep up the good work.
On the live tomorrow. Make sure we do that.
Fuck yeah.
For sure. Hey, appreciate y'all, man. For sure. Hey, unzip that shit, dog. Stop playing games out here.
Don't hide it.
Don't hide that. Hey.
It's like Superman with this S.
I mean, I got the same build.
Status Quo! Status Quo!
As much as I dislike the police, outside of being police officers, their husbands, their brothers, their fathers, because of this, and police officers have been shot, maybe they'll try to expedite some common sense gun laws.
Send additional cars immediately. Additional cars will shots still fired. Several shots, officers. We got an officer down.
One of them grazed in the head.
If the shooters happen to be black, Hispanic, or whatever, I guarantee they're going to change some laws real quick, especially if police officers are getting killed. When you could open carry in California, the Black Panthers open carry to protect the community, and they marched to the Capitol and they open carried. Right after that, Reagan changed the laws and made it quite difficult for anyone to get a gun.
From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth.
Out front tonight, chaos at the White House. President Trump's deputy chief of staff, his communications director, is
just because of their connection to President Trump. And I know you've been saying...
We learned recently that Donald Trump threatened to sue his former schools if...
Tired of hearing about Trump 24/7? Become a member at statusquo.com for only $10 a month. Click the notification. With your help, we can start the media revolution.
And before Bernie went on stage, I spoke with his supporters online here, and you really get that feeling from